I forgive you for
Yeah. So, quick question, Arthur.
Yep.
What is on the traits? There are a couple that have stars next to them. What do those symbolize?
Let's see here.
I think those
So,
are
for
the
example, on
Arthurian
mine it
traits.
has energetic, generous, just, merciful, modest, and valorous with little
Those should be
asterisks.
the religious traits that you chose.
They are
No.
not.
No, they
I think
not.
those are the Arthurian traits, Arthur. The one that
Oh, the chivalric
you have
traits,
Camelot,
yeah.
chivalric, yeah, those are the
Yeah,
ones.
that's what they are.
So if you have 16 in all of those traits, you're considered among the best of knights. And chivalric traits won't come into play until Arthur creates the round table.
Okay.
So you can't take the chivalric bonus until then. If you do before then, you won't get the bonus for it, but everyone will recognize you as being kind of the archetypal knight. You know, like when you die and Arthur creates the round table, he'll be like, this knight was a good knight. We should model our society after someone like him.
Okay.
Now, the very hard thing to do is be both a religious and chivalric knight at the same time. You get like huge amounts of glory every year, but it's really hard to maintain. Okay, no directed traits to start with. I have no doubt we will find some pretty quickly, but for now, we skip over that and we go to passions.
Passions.
I don't know where passions are under the skill thing.
It's in stats.
Oh, it's in stats.
Yeah,
Okay, there it is.
stats at the bottom here.
Okay, you all begin with a loyalty of your lord of 15, so that's going to be Earl Roderick.
What is the check mark for?
So check marks are for when you roll for something and you succeed. Well, for passions, if you roll for passion and succeed, you get a check in it. If you roll for a skill and you get a critical, you also get a check mark in it. So let's say you're fighting someone with your sword and you get a critical, you get a check in it, and at the end of the year, that check means there's a chance that that skill will improve. Yep.
I
So
see.
the checks are good. Unless
Okay.
you didn't want that skill to raise, in which case it's bad.
Yeah.
So for instance, with traits, there might be a couple of traits you wouldn't want to have raised because they're the opposite of what you want.
Yeah.
So loyalty, lord, 15. Love of family, and that is your own family, is 15.
So everything but hate of Saxons is 15.
That's correct. All of you will need to roll 3d6 to determine your personalized hate of Saxons.
So we
Hip
raised
guy rolls
honor
like
to 15
18.
and hospitality to 15 as well.
Yep.
Oh, I thought that was Sky rolls. Yeah.
Those freaking Saxons,
holy
man.
Shit! No wonder you're suspicious. Did
You have to be
Saxons
careful. They could be
murder-
around any corner.
Yeah, did they murder your whole family?
Hate those freaking Saxons.
Which
Wait.
manor do you have, by the way?
What?
Which manor did you get, Kurama?
Well, in the middle of civilization. When
Wait.
your enemies are at your border, you know where they are. But when you're in the middle of
Technically,
civilization, who knows where they are?
Anything below 10 is... anything below 10 is liking them or like... It's...
No,
It
you
just
don't
means-
hate them.
So you guys are in the middle of Britain, right? You're not on a coastline.
Yeah.
So maybe Saxons raid once every 10 years or so. You'll have a lot of people passing through who talk about Saxons, but you've probably never seen one.
Saxons
I'm just
are
suspicious
southeast
of
us,
anybody
right?
who could be my enemy. Be careful.
So we
which manor
change
is
our
Dom-
values to that number.
Yep. So you're at Weil. Yeah, you're pretty far from the Saxons too. Like you're.
Kurama just hates them with all his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert too. Robert's like, yeah. Those are
Well,
some
I
fun
guess we are
ones."
continuing the pattern of me being the reasonable one in this party.
Sure, reasonable.
You hate them, but moderately.
You only
We all
them a
hate
little
them.
bit. So the way passions work is you can say it's basically like becoming a Super Saiyan. That's the easiest way to describe it. When you want to roll a passion, you say I want to roll a passion, and we'll work out what the best passion would be. It's almost always going to be obvious. Like if you're in a sword fight with someone and they're like, Earl Roderick is a dickbag and I hate him, and you're like, I'm going to call my passion of my lord to empower my sword and slice this guy down. That will make sense. Or if you're fighting a Saxon, hate Saxon will work. But normally there's a bunch of different ways to get around, you know.
It actually uses the power of love.
Yeah.
You could use love of family, you know, if someone
Someone
insulted your family and said you were a Saxon.
Your
you could call-
mom's a.
Yeah. Your mother's
My
Saxon.
God.
So you try to roll for the passion.
Great start.
If you roll the passion, you get a +10 to your skill until
But
the
if
end
you
of
fail?
whatever task. If you fail, bad things happen. If you fail, the passion is typically lowered by 1 point, and if you crit fail and roll a 20, you go insane and you lose control of your character for a year or more.
Wait, what? What?
They just go on random adventures in the woods while they work their shit out.
Wait, because you don't love your family enough.
Yeah, exactly. Well, think about it this way. You know, like your knights in this period were historically extremely passionate. You know, like, I will smite thee. Think of it like a paladin, but then think of a paladin who failed in his duty, right? So if you mess things up, you know, you're going to go deep depression.
Extreme emotions.
So yeah, passions are turning into a Super Saiyan. Your hair gets all crazy.
It's like a teen drama, basically.
Exactly. Now you can raise your passions by up to 3 points if any of you have any passions you would like to raise.
We can raise our passions by what?
3 points. You can distribute them anywhere you'd like.
Or lower them.
No.
Nope, no
Oh.
manually lowering them. You lower them, if you want to lower a passion, you do so during the winter phase by declaring you want to lower it, and that represents you spending all winter basically bitching about that thing.
So we have to spend all 3 points in the same one?
No, you can distribute them however you want.
And then,
I-
God damn it, Mama.
So,
Fuck.
well,
Why
the
not?
example that's given is Gawain, right? Gawain is a Dorkney. His whole family hates Arthur, and they're basically giant dicks. And they murder the shit out of all of Lancelot's family, right? And so he's like, spends a lot of time being like, I hate my family. They're all complete dicks. I'm just trying to be a cool dude. And so he's lowering his love of his family by doing that. All right, anybody got some good passions for me? Anything 18 plus?
I
Yeah.
was thinking about just
Loyal.
dumping it all to one, but I don't know.
I
I
have
do-
18 loyalty.
I
It's
am
only
dumping
when
them all
I-
into honor.
Ooh. So you're
Oh,
well
God.
known not just for your justice, but for your honor. Interesting.
Going with the
Fucking
theme here.
Saxons. 19. Grr.
Hate Saxons 19. You
Screw
see
those.
Saxony, you literally can't stop yourself from running over and tearing their shit apart.
I have to be
This
careful,
will lead
otherwise they'll
to
kill me in my
interesting
sleep.
consequences.
I have to kill them before they kill me in my sleep. It must be done.
Jeez, you're more
They're an enemy.
vengeful than I am of Saxons.
Sermon, did I
Suspicious.
see that you put 18 in Loyalty Lord?
Yes.
Okay,
It was
alright.
the one I was okay with.
You are a true son of Salisbury, then.
Mm.
Perhaps you'll come to the notice of your lord, Earl of Roderick. Alright, so now we do attributes.
Our liege lord is Earl of Roderick, correct?
Yep, your liege lord is Earl Roderick. He is Earl of Salisbury. You have 5 attributes, which are size, dexterity, strength, constitution, and appearance. You'll note that there's no intelligence attribute. Anything you know, your character knows. It's that simple. So,
Very
if
good.
you have an idea, if you know some Arthurian legends and you see something coming and you're just like, I think we should go help Gawain, because I think he's about to go fight the Green Knight. That's not, it's a little metagamey, but still, you would know that that incident is about to happen and that you want to be there and witness that shit and maybe help him out so he doesn't lose his head. Literally. So you have, I think it's 60 points to throw around between your, let's see here.
And
Plus 3 con.
and being at 10, there's already 10 points in all of them.
Right. Yes, you distribute 60 points. So the way I've heard it done is to put 12 in everything, and then when you minus something, you add something. If you're following along on the PDF, we're on page 28, which shows the minimums and maximums you can get. If you are Chimeric, which all of you are, you get a +3 con modifier for being Chimeric. So you'd never want to put more than 18 points into Constitution. Before we start putting points into different things, we should explain what they're used for. Size is going to be used for damage. It's half of the damage equation. It's also when you're taking a hit, before you take it on your armor or shield, if the amount of damage dealt is equal to or greater than your size modifier, you have to roll your dexterity to keep from being knocked down. If it's equal to twice your size or greater, you're automatically knocked down or dehorsed or whatever your mode of transportation is. So size is pretty important in that regard. Dexterity is going to influence your rate of movement, your jumping skill, your climbing, obviously your ability to stay on your feet. Strength is the other half of the damage equation. So obviously very important in that regard. It also influences how fast you move. Constitution, kind of what it sounds like. The more constitution you have, the harder you are to kill. And the faster you'll heal up. Which is a big deal in this game because, healing occurs over weeks or months long. Appearance doesn't have any immediate effect. You don't ever roll for appearance, but if you dump a stat and it ever drops below a certain amount, you'll become bedridden. So even if your appearance drops below 3, you'll basically become too sickly to get out of bed. You'll be so hideous and so poorly maintained.
How does
Your character
that
is
work?
essentially removed from play.
And
Well,
if you're
imagine someone who's leprous or something like that, or highly diseased, or
wouldn't that also affect your con or everything else as well?
sure, something like that. But it indicates someone who is so poorly maintained that no one will be around them.
Disfigured. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, you can just have your enemies surrender by just looking at them.
Yes, if you could ever get out of bed. So, the other reason to have appearances, it is a huge deal to get married in this game. Because it relies so heavily on the family, you need to have kids as soon as possible just so that in your inevitable death, because you're not going to live to be 170, which you would have to in order to reach the end of the game, you need to have kids to carry on that family line. Or else, who knows, your brother gets control of the family line, and that guy's a dick. So high appearance means that the ladies might feel more attractively inclined towards you or something like that. So let's divide up
Well,
those
let's
stats now.
important question here. Given the times, do the ladies' opinions matter that much?
They matter to some extent. The liege lord of each county, has the marriage rights of all the unwedded ladies in the area. So basically anyone whose father is not a knight, or anyone whose father is currently dead, the liege lord gets to choose who they marry. And so those are typically going to be women who have lots of land or houses or knights pledged to them. So they're, you'll have to indicate interest in them, and they're probably going to want to have interest in you unless you want to have a really bad marriage. But you will also have to play the politics game with your liege lord.
All right.
Having good appearance might help in that too. Earl Roderick ain't no guy that lets some broke down leper up in his throne room. So
Okay, so we place everything at 12, we add a +3 to con, and then we subtract if we want to add to anything else, right?
Yep.
Except for Constitution, because that should be 15, right?
Yeah, well, with the +3, you start at 15 con,
Okay.
yes.
I'm size 16.
Okay, you're a pretty large dude.
Mm.
So the way damage
That's it.
works is your size and your strength stat divided by 6. So the maximum starting that you can have for damage is going to be 36 divided by 6.
How do things round in this game?
66.
Hey.
I think you always round down.
No, it's
You round
round
up?
up and round down. No, it's either way. For
it's
for
halfway?
example, if you're if you're 0.5, you round up.
So round
Okay.
appropriate.
Yeah,
So
so if you want to
proper
be smart,
math
like
rounding.
Yeah, proper
So
math
if you
rounding.
if you get 33, it rounds up because yeah.
So
we-
the amount of damage a charging horse does is 66. And so if you have maximum strength and size, you can hit as hard as a horse would hit someone. So you'll be a big dude.
Mhm.
The other thing to
Yeah.
remember about these knights is that, they would go out and fight for hours every day just training. They'd be covered in scars and stuff. And so they're going to be a lot stronger than the average person in our modern era.
Stronger than the average person.
Exactly. They're going to be super strong.
Now
Alright.
to choose our distinctive features.
Oh boy, I can't wait to go to distinctive features rolls. Do the sheets here actually do the derived rolls? It looks like they do.
They do.
Derived.
A damage,
Sermon
movement
has
rate,
5.
healing rate. Yeah.
I have 4.
For 46?
Yeah, maybe. It just says 4, but I'm
Yeah,
sure that's what it
it's
is.
46.
Okay, let's see what my distinctive feature is. It's my
So-
speech.
I should be rolling a d6 right now.
Oh boy.
Let's see. What is your
Derived stats.
appearance, Aurelius? You have a 13?
13, yes.
You roll 2d6. And we're on page 29, sorry, for anyone following along at home.
Alright, I see the distinctive feature part.
Yep.
So,
Okay, so a
number of
7.
features. So I get
Wait.
1d6 because I have an 11.
So you have a 1 and a 6, Aurelius. You have distinctive hair and limbs.
So where do I fill that in?
Probably...
Notes in skills. Or
Yeah, skills, I would put it under notes. The other
I'm
thing...
gonna have.
I set
I'm
up
having-
a campaign sheet for you guys. If you guys want to leave anything there, you probably will.
I am a size 16 man with a squeaky voice.
Let's see, what is your strength?
It's 13.
Oh, interesting. So you're kind of a big guy. You're also, stronger than average.
Do we choose one of the body features?
Yes, if you got that on your roll, you will pick one.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I rolled, so that's what I should choose.
Yep. So we'll just do a rundown of those derived stats real quick. Obviously, damage, we've done that. It's size strength divided by 6. It's how many d6s you'll roll for damage. And you'll roll twice that if you get a critical. Your healing rate is the number of hit points regained a week of game time. The game healing begins at noon on Sunday. So right after church lets out, you get your healing. That's intentional. Your movement rate is equal to your strength plus dex divided by 10. That's the number of yards you can move in one melee round. Your total hit points are equal to your con plus size. And your unconscious threshold is equal to your total hit points divided by 4. If you are brought to this number or lower, you fall unconscious on the battlefield. That's about the time where Sermon starts slaughtering all the unconscious people, screaming for vengeance. And then Dobbin runs up behind him and says, "Die, Saxons, die!"
Yeah. We must be cautious or they will stab us in the back. No mercy.
No mercy.
We're gonna die so fast.
Okay.
Such trust.
So you guys are gonna want to have your PDFs open. I think I sent that link. For the beginning value of skills is on page 29.
Yeah. Body feature.
Page 29.
You get the beginning values of skills that all knights begin with, which are awareness, boating, compose, courtesy.
He'll be thin.
Super long. A thin, suspicious guy.
Yeah.
Dobbin's the guarded. You can see
Yeah, I
him
went
over there
with-
in the corner eating his bread and soup alone.
I went bright-eyed and charming accent.
Oh man, so you're basically playing yourself, Adash.
Wait, how'd you get those?
I rolled 3 and 4, right?
Yep, so
So-
speech and
Speech and what's the other one?
facial.
Yeah, facial expression.
So we put in all the beginning values of skills. When you guys have caught up on skill beginning values, just throw an X in the chat. We'll move on from there.
Oh, sorry. Do skills. You mean when we get there or when we're done with
When
the
you're
area?
finished with them, because there's quite a few.
Okay.
If you want, I can
Beginning
just read them out to make life easy.
Sure.
What
Yeah.
about compose?
So
Composed is
compose is like
Oh.
writing poetry or music or.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. I just no. I was asking where it was on the sheet, but
Oh,
I just
okay.
missed it.
Okay, gaming 3, heraldry 3.
Should I just read them out for you guys? Make it easy
Go ahead.
if you want.
But
Yeah.
it's super long.
Can you start at
Yeah, I know.
hunting?
Can
Sure.
you
Hunting.
start at fairy lore?
Okay, I'll start at fairy law. That'll be easier since it's on top. Okay. Fairy law is 1. Falconry is 2. First aid 10. Flirting 3. Folklore 2. Gaming 3. Heraldry 3. Hunting 2. Intrigue 3. Orate 3. Play 3. Read 0. Recognize 3. Religion 2. Romance 2. Singing 2. Stewardship 2. Swimming 2. Tawny 2. And combat,
we-
you've got. Yeah, got it?
Yeah. So like what we
So one thing you missed, I think you said falconry 2, but it's 3.
Oh, did I say falconry 2?
I think so.
yeah.
It's
Sorry.
falconry 3.
Yeah, I put that down wrong myself. Okay. And combat skills, battle 10. Siege 0. Horsemanship 10. Sword 10. Lance 10. Spear 6. And dagger 5.
What was Lance?
Lance is 10.
Lance 10, spear 6, dagger.
5.
Okay.
Siege.
Daggers like short swords and small daggers and all those little things.
So a couple things to note. You can't put any points in siege yet because the siege era hasn't begun. You can't
Oh.
you can't improve tourney more than 2 because the concept of tournaments is still basically you walk outside the castle and punch each other in the face.
So wait, I can't choose siege.
You can't choose siege, no.
Um,
So the castles of nowadays are at the very best made of stone, and they're going to be very small.
They seem to be all made of wood and like wood and stone
Yeah,
combinations.
they're mostly
or wood
Mont
at all.
Baileys, right?
Yeah, that's what I was reading. So
So
more or
siege
less
really
made of wood.
doesn't come into effect until again the post-Arthurian era, pre-Arthurian era, that Dark Age time where everyone's dying.
Awareness is like perception, basically, right?
Yes,
What is perception?
awareness.
Awareness.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so lance and spear are interrelated. Lance is whenever you're charging with it, and spear I think is whenever you're throwing it,
Okay.
or just fighting in general melee. You can look up more on the thing that we do later. So during the next part, there's a couple things that you can't do. You can't raise anything above 15. You can't raise any of your stats above 21. No trait can be raised above 19 and no passion above 20. No non-knightly skill can be augmented. So you can't get chirurgery or something like that, or industry or anything. You probably wouldn't want to anyway. But just in case. And individual skills can be augmented by any of the steps below, but you still can't raise them over 15. So, you now get to pick one knightly skill at which you excel. It becomes 15. Sword is a popular choice. Lance, not so much, but can be. I've seen horsemanship before. It was hilarious. You don't really
I'm
use
taking it.
horsemanship for combat.
Is it combat skill or normal?
It's
just a-
staying on your horse when you've been hit really hard. Or
I
making
mean,
your
What
horse
is
run
like,
really fast.
general battle skill?
Sword.
I'm taking lance.
Lance?
No, but
Okay.
what is the combat skill battle?
Oh, so battle is the unit commander will roll battle as like a
Mm.
tactics. Their role basically is the fate of everyone is in the palm of the hands of the person making the battle.
And does it have to be a combat skill or can it be a normal skill?
It has to be a knightly skill.
There's
It can be
another
non-combat.
section for non-combat.
Yeah.
It can
It can be
Okay.
non-combat.
be non-combat, but it must be knightly.
So which
Where's the knightly?
counts as knightly?
We'd have to go to the skills section in the PDF to find that out. They're all
I'll
marked
just
as knightly.
quickly run down then let everyone know what it is.
That sounds
Sure.
fantastic. Skills.
I definitely know hunting is, courtesy is,
So it's
falconry
page
is
80, I
yeah.
think.
Page 80.
Yeah, I'll do the nightly skills real quick. Awareness, courtesy,
Oh, awareness, good.
first aid, hunting. Oh wow. Battle, sword, horsemanship, lance. Oh, actually, you can't take lance. It's not considered a nightly skill. Well, get rid
Yeah, I
of it.
Can
changed
everyone
to
post
battle.
what they're taking? Just so that, it's better if someone wants, they can avoid repetition. I mean, we can repeat,
Well,
but just...
of course, being suspicious, I went for awareness as soon as you said it was nightly.
Oh, okay, all right. You're kind of like the party scout.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm finding page
I don't want to
80
be stabbed in
here.
the back while I'm not looking.
What were you picking, Kai?
I took battle.
Oh, so you're gonna be like the smart guy.
The general.
Battle's super important when you're unit commander. That might not be for a little while, early on, but within a couple of years, you'll want someone to lead your unit in battle. So
Also
the way
took-
battles work is that they're kind of complex on my end. They're super simple for you guys, but they're really hard on my end. But if you roll poor on your battle, you can end up with your unit surrounded and detached, or through varying degrees of that up to just general engagement, and then beyond that, you end up surrounding an enemy unit, and finally, if you crit on your battle skill, you have the option of stealing an enemy standard, killing an important knight, capturing noble prisoners, and selling them for money.
Capture noble prisoners for ransom. Always.
So that is pretty much the best way to make money, is to have huge battle skill and then just go around capturing important knights.
Hey,
I think
question. What
one
is
person should
stewardship?
definitely-
So stewardship is how well you take care of your land. At the end of every year, you have to check and see how well your land is. And
That's what you have a woman for.
Yeah, I'll take 10 on that.
Your
So I
wife
took.
can do that. You can also hire someone to do it, but it's super expensive. It's typically
So
going to be a pound or
the
more.
number of skills we can boost is how many?
You get, just to start off, you take one nightly skill and you boost it to 15. Then you take 3 non-combat skills other than first aid and make them 10.
So I took singing, compose, and stewardship.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
I'm gonna take courtesy, flirting, and
With his accent and his bright
yeah.
eyes.
And what's the other one I picked? Hang on. Let me see.
I'm gonna be able to compose my songs and perform them.
Excellent.
But you won't be able to read them. I'm taking a 10 in read.
So
You can just write them in English rather than write them in Latin.
I am taking a 10
Is that what
in
read is for?
religion.
Yeah, read is
Yeah,
only.
read is only for
and
Latin.
Stewardship.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Eric? I heard stewardship.
Religion, romance, and stewardship. And then a 15 with
You
sword.
can't take romance yet? It hasn't been invented. Sorry.
Okay, what is the base version
Romance is
of romance?
Courtesy. Courtesy.
Romance should be reverted back to what?
Courtesy.
No,
think
but what is the
courtesy is its own
base
skill.
version?
There is no base version.
No, I mean, what is the base score? Because
What?
I already changed.
I think it's 0, right? You start with any?
For what?
Oh, you start with 2.
Base score of romance,
Romance
is
is
2.
2.
Yeah.
So romance
What-
is another thing that doesn't really come into play until the Arthurian era, and Guinevere becomes Queen of Love.
Okay, so I took courtesy, what was it? Courtesy, flirting, and recognize.
Oh, recognize. Yeah, look at this player.
What is recognized?
So recognize is the opposite of heraldry. Heraldry is knowing the family tree and the lineage of if you see someone with a crest or a shield. Recognize is identifying an individual person. So you would know that if let's say you guys didn't know each other, and Robert, Anasha's character, met Aurelius. He might know who Aurelius is, but he doesn't know your family tree, right? So he doesn't know your father or your coat of arms or any of that. But he's like, oh, Aurelius, he's that steadfast, just-worthy guy who doesn't kill as much as all his friends do.
Hey,
It's like knowledge local on a person, kind
Yeah,
of.
it's
like
knowledge
you wanna,
local.
yeah.
Hey, it says for the next, it's heighten anyone's skill up to by 5 points. Could I upgrade battle again?
You can't take
Not
anything
past
over
15.
15.
Ah, darn.
That would have been awesome if you could.
So before we move to that part, let's just make sure everybody's done with their picking of 3 skills at 10. Everyone
I was actually down in the skills tab looking at what they mean.